just landed on the moon in the Lambo, taking pictures with the zoom and the angle. We'll be coming back to you with the samples. Our predictions coming soon with a halo. We just landed on the moon in the Lambo, taking pictures with the zoom and the angle.
Hello, future millionaires. This is Aztec, and this is the CSC. Let's get into this show. Guys, I got a jam-packed show for you today. We're going to go ahead and go over a couple updates for Chromia. If you don't know who Chromia is, they're a relational type blockchain. Very interesting project, something that I'm eyeing. Currently not invested yet, but eyeing because I really think the technology is very significant. Beyond going into Chromia, I also want to go over the Bitcoin dominance. As you can see, we are starting to possibly break out. And I want to go over Google Trends because there's a lot of people that have asked me about the trends recently. And I want to make a couple more points for Bitcoin and XRP because this video is going to go into the Flare network. So I'm going to break down the Flare network from an Ethereum standpoint. Now, there's a lot of people that have made videos about the Flare network, which is essentially this network that is going to be doing an airdrop for XRP holders in the very near future on December 12th. These holders will get Spark tokens, which will be part of the Flare network. Now, a lot of people have talked about the network, but they haven't broken it down. And I really think that it takes someone from the Ethereum side to break this down. So I think I have a special knack here. And in this video, I will explain why I think this network will not harm the Matic network's ability to scale and be prosperous as well. So let's go ahead and get into this, guys. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I have a very quickly growing channel here. Recently made some awesome videos. This video here, you definitely can share with friends and family. It's called Bitcoin, Altcoins, and the Fourth Industrial Revolution. But there's a lot of awesome videos here that really have some information that I think everyone will want to know while we're starting to take off on this bull run. So let's go ahead and get into Chromia. Now, to start off, they say that they're a public blockchain platform powered by REL, built with both developers and end users in mind. So basically, some of the big things that I've seen recently for Chromia is that they now have staking. So if I haven't mentioned that, their staking is now live, and they offer a 25% APR. So this is amazing. A lot of people were waiting for this. Also, they put out this article here. It talks about relational blockchain is facilitating the evolution of gaming. Chromia can host data at a fraction of the cost on other blockchains and is particularly well suited to cases requiring high I/O capacity or involving complex data sets. Read more. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up because this is very important because there's going to be different types of blockchains. Now, one thing that you're going to hear me say is that this is the future is all about the internet of blockchains. So there's going to be many different types of blockchains, even other types of technologies that are going to be ingrained with blockchain, possibly like DAGs and things like this. But the main thing is that it's an internet of blockchain, and all these blockchains are going to be working together to create essentially, the internet of blockchains, or the internet 3.0. Now, reason I bring this up is because Chromia is definitely a project that I think is going to be part of the gaming revolution. Specifically, they have many other attributes. They're working with governments, lands registration, things like that. But here with this, they have a very, very important value proposition, and that's for gaming. And specifically, they do have this game here that they have on their mainnet. This is the Mines of Delarnia, and they have a really big update that's coming up soon. Now, I actually find the game very fun, and I would encourage anyone that's interested in blockchain gaming to look at this game, especially once this update comes out. But specifically for Chromia, what I want to project into the future is that I really think, now everything I talk about in the show, of course, is not financial advice, but this is just my opinion. But I really think that this technology, after breaking it down, looking at the white paper, and truly getting a really good feel of the technology, what I see is that it's going to be great for massively multiplayer online role-playing games. So there's a lot of other you know scaling solutions and layer ones and layer twos that are going to be used for gaming. But I really think that this specific set of games, essentially, this is the definition according to DuckDuckGo. It says a massively multiplayer online role-playing game is a video game that combines aspects of role-playing video game and a massively multiplayer online game. As in role-playing games, the player assumes the role of a character and takes control over many of the character's actions. So, for instance, one of my favorite games growing up was RuneScape, and this was an MMORPG type game. And these games are huge. If you don't know about them, maybe you're not as nerdy as I am, but these types of games are very huge. And as we move into the metaverse and, the future of gaming, I think that, these types of games are going to do really well on blockchain, specifically with Chromia. So something to look forward, guys. Just some, general news for Chromia, some really nice things coming out. And the future looks bright to me, in my opinion. Now, moving forward, I do want to discuss the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, check out this. This is crazy because it looks like we're breaking above this trend line that was causing some resistance for the Bitcoin dominance to, grow. Now, basically, recently in May, we actually had a false attempt to break out. And as you can see, the dominance sloughed off. And this gave a very nice chance for alts to do great things in this time. And the reason I bring this chart up is because we have to look at it. And as I go through my videos, I might kind of reflect on this chart because it gives us a good insight on where we're going, with Bitcoin versus altcoins. And basically, there is some nice volume here. This is breaking out. If this does continue to break out and continues to close candles above this trend line, this would be considered a breakout, and we could assume that we are going to possibly move higher on the Bitcoin dominance. And I really think that there's a good chance, that this could happen, especially with, Bitcoin trying to reach, its 20K levels, which not everyone, but some people are projecting that, we may see very soon. I've been saying for a long time that I think we're just going to keep moving up. And, in the case that altcoins don't have the ability to really move up due to the market, due to retail not fully being here at this time, Bitcoin dominance could continue to grow. And, this is definitely important to note. Obviously, we did see yesterday a very sharp rejection of the Bitcoin dominance, and altcoins did really well, specifically certain altcoins in my portfolio. And as you can see today, it gapped up, and the dominance, it looks like it's trying to break out. So we need to keep an eye on this, guys. You can find this chart. It's BTC.D, and this is on TradingView. I would recommend having a TradingView account just because it really gives you insights on the market and how things may perform. So if we can, just to kind of finalize here, if we continue to break upwards, what I believe here, what we'll see is, of course, Bitcoin continue to rise, but also altcoins, only very, large market cap altcoins may actually appreciate in this case. For instance, like your top 20, and then anything below that, it would have to have a very strong catalyst, some big things coming out or things that do come out that propel the price during this kind of bullish, time where Bitcoin is just moving up and kind of taking the show. You're going to need a really bullish catalyst to steal the show from Bitcoin. And generally, this is kind of where major alts roll as well. So this is just important to realize. If we do reject from here and move down, obviously that's just all altcoins are going to generally see, you know, a very nice, possibly even alt season. So this is kind of in the making and definitely something we want to keep our eyes on. Now, going over the Google Trends, this is the analytics, Google Analytics. I wanted to kind of look at Bitcoin and make some points here. I really recommend you guys using this because it's free, and there's a direct correlation between these Google trends. Basically, these are the searches that are happening, and retail moving into this space. And as you can see, you know, we don't have a lot of searches going on in comparison to the last major bull run here in 2017, which kind of indicates that retail really hasn't hit the market yet. What that means to me is that we still are going to see retail hit the market. It just hasn't happened just yet. And I really believe that's going to happen when 20K is broken. You know, if we hit 20K and correct a little bit and then, you know, move above it, you know, that's probably that time when during that time retail is just going to be probably, in my opinion, you know, looking at you know, Bitcoin again, doing their research and you know, starting accounts and kind of, you know, moving their way into PayPal and Coinbase, and you know, people that used to trade, you know, cryptocurrencies and kind of left the market back in 2017. All these guys are going to be coming back. What I find interesting here is that we kind of have this move up and then it's kind of moving down here. It looks very similar to this little area here where, you know, we moved up, we moved down, and then we had, you know, this rocket upward in 2017. And I wonder if, you know, this little area here is going to mimic this area here and see a very significant rise in the search trends, mainly due to Bitcoin hitting 20K. Also, what's kind of cool at you know, this page is you can kind of see the different countries that are, you know, searching specifically for the word that you search for, and then you have related topics, and all of this is very important to kind of give you an idea of you know, Google's analysis on, you know, things that are people are searching for that are very you know, related to whatever you're searching for. So this gives you a lot of information, and this is just really interesting. I love it. And you can also, you know, switch the time around and kind of get a general idea. For instance, if you want to look at the last 90 days, which is also another parameter that I like to use, you can kind of see that we are moving up here on the trends. And, you know, even I am starting to see, you know, some of my friends that haven't been in the space for a while or never been in the space, they're starting to, you know, call me and say, hey, what's this Bitcoin thing? You know, you need to explain this to me. You know, how can I make money? And I'm like, hey, I'm not a financial advisor, but, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that this is interesting to see in the last 90 days that we are slightly moving up. In regards to XRP, so we're going to be getting into XRP now. The Flare network, I'm going to break it down. You guys, I really think you guys should be looking at this because it's going to revolutionize the space, in my opinion. This is a legitimate technology that nobody really realizes just yet. So, you know, before we get into Flare network, though, you know, search trends for XRP. So what I'm seeing here is that we are getting a movement upward here. If we kind of look at the last 90 days, you can see here that we are scooping upwards. And that's interesting to me because, you know, what I'm seeing is that retail is probably looking at the top 10 to 20 coins most. And I think this kind of shows this here, that you're seeing that, you know, something like XRP is getting more traction here as the days go by, specifically probably with some of the things that are going to come in the near future. But just to show you guys specifically the significance of Google Trends, if you look here back in July, August, and if you look here in February, you can see these large spikes. If we pull up XRP, and this is a daily, this is not that clean of a chart. Yeah, let's use this one. If we look at XRP, you can see here that in August we had this nice little rally for XRP, and again over here in February we had a nice little rally. So you could keep going further back and seeing and correlating this, but generally when you see the search trends in Google start to show that people are searching for a cryptocurrency, that may indicate that you're going to get some sort of positive rally. Of course, this is the chart for XRP to Bitcoin. So right now, obviously, Bitcoin is really strong, and this little rally that we've had is not as significant in regards to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is just so strong. If we used my not clean chart, you could see here that the rally is decently significant for now. So really important to look at these Google Trends, guys. Definitely take a look at them. All right, guys. So let's get into this. The Flare network. We were talking about XRP, and for good reason, because being an XRP holder, you are going to be able to get Spark tokens, which are going to be airdropped by the Flare network. And we really need to break this down because this is XRP and Ethereum joining together. This is very, very revolutionary. I think this is a very broader, I guess a broader point would be that, if you're an XRP holder, you believe that, XRP is part of the, great financial reset. And I don't think that the great financial reset can truly happen without XRP being able to utilize smart contracts and oracles and such. So I think I have a really good take on this because I am an Ethereum guy and I understand scaling layers and interoperability and all these things. A lot of people that use XRP or are big fanboys of XRP really only understand that XRP can be used for basically remittances and payments essentially. But there's so much more to the internet of blockchains and the future of XRP, and I think I have a really good chance at explaining this, so we're going to try this. Now, Flare and network. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first portion here that I want to bring up, which is that they have a testnet, and as you can see here, there is transactions on the testnet. It's very important to see that there is transactions on the testnet, that it's legitimate. You need to look at the GitHub and make sure that there's Git submissions and all of that. But let's go ahead and get into the white paper. So really, this is going to kind of explain what the Flare network capabilities are. This is extremely important because this will really give you an idea on whether or not this is a project that you would be interested in. And I'll tell you from the start, it does not directly conflict with, like something like the Matic network. It's totally separate, and I'll get into why in just a little bit. But this kind of explains the capabilities of the Flare network and also why the Spark token is going to be needed. This is a really big deal because obviously you want to know, whether or not the token itself is going to be significant. So again, like I said earlier, the Flare network is a distributed network running the Avalanche consensus protocol adapted to a federated Byzantine agreement and leveraging the Ethereum virtual machine. So essentially, again, XRP hooking up with Ethereum. Now, some points here that I'll go and read, and as I read, I'll just be breaking down, this language in, the way that I can. So it says, Flare introduced the first such iteration of Turing-complete FBA protocol and they give a little site here that you can look up. But specifically, we're going to just use this because it really kind of gives you an idea of what Turing-complete means. This portion here is just explaining this is something that was theoretical from the past. And, Turing does come from, Turing complete comes from the mid-century mathematician and computer scientist Alan Turing. But, it's no longer theoretical because, this is something that is actually available now. And it says the Turing machine itself is composed of 3 theoretical components: a limited set of states, an infinite amount of storage, and a transition function. What's most interesting to me is an infinite amount of storage, because if you've ever heard, any of the Bitcoin Cash bugs talk, Vitalik talk, there's been instances where they talk about data storage and the issues that are there, on these projects, within these projects. And this network is going to, basically give these abilities here now. So very interesting. It says in the FB settings, so to continue, it says, and integrating the Ethereum virtual machine, the resulting network is scalable, safe, and decentralized. It is freed from constraints and potential safety conflicts of utilizing economic means to solve the Cybele attack, so 51% attacks. Flare's native token, the Spark, is required for spam control at the network level because the safety of the network is not contingent on the token itself. Spark can be used in ways which would be unsafe for other networks. Essentially, it's because there's value associated with the Spark token, and you'll need the Spark token, to make these transactions happen. Since there's value associated with it, people aren't going to be spamming the network because it's going to cost them to do that. And this is kind of like a safety mechanism. It's one of the reasons why you need Spark. First, Spark can be used as collateral within applications. Pretty cool. Second, Spark as a contributor, but not the sole contributor, to an oracle providing on-chain time series data estimates called the Flare Time Series Oracle, FTSO. So they're going to have an oracle built into the network. This is amazing, and I actually think the oracle itself has some really interesting abilities. Third, Spark as a governance methodology across all elements that rely on it. So you'll be able to use the Spark token also for governance, which is awesome. These 3 components form the building blocks of a collection of applications that can be built using Spark, termed Spark-dependent applications. Furthermore, as the network doesn't require staking or computation returns for safety, the FTSO becomes the inflation function for Spark itself. So basically the reason why you need Spark and why they think, it'll have need going into the future utility. And it's when they say it's not required for staking, because it's not. For instance, an idea of what that means is like if you're using a proof of stake type project, you'll need the token to stake to secure the network. And this project doesn't require that, which is kind of a plus in a way. So this is interesting, definitely interesting and new revolutionary type technology. Now it says, one natural application for the SDA is to enable trustless token representation of non-Turing complete tokens. Indeed, approximately 75% of the value has emerged in public blockchain is in cryptocurrencies on non-Turing complete blockchains. Spark enables the value represented by these tokens to be used on a scalable smart contract platform in a trustless manner. Furthermore, once the value is represented trustless on Flare, it can then potentially be propagated across other networks through interoperability networks such as Cosmos and Polkadot. The first such representation is XRP, as detailed in which for the first time will allow XRP to be used trustlessly with Turing-complete smart contracts. So not only smart contracts, but Turing-complete smart contracts. And essentially this paragraph up here is explaining that the technology is going to allow assets like XRP being the first asset to be utilized within this Flare network, to basically scale and use the technology and even connect interoperably with the bridges of the internet of blockchains. So you have like Cosmos and Polkadot. These are bridges. These are not projects that are trying to be Ethereum killers. They're just bridges that connect, all the other projects. Let's say like Neo, BEP2 type tokens, and so on and so on, all together. So this network is very powerful, as you can see. There's a lot here, and you can see that it has. The token itself has a lot of utility, and again, we're just skipping through this. We're just reading the key points that I found. I read through the entire thing because this is what I do for projects. I read through the entire white papers. I don't just invest in something without knowing what I'm truly investing in. So it says Spark's technical purpose is to impose a cost transaction so as to disincentivize superfluous transactions, network spamming. This is achieved via transaction fees. So that's something that I brought up earlier. And as we scroll down, it says the Flare time series Oracle is a decentralized application that aims to generate accurate estimates of off-chain time series data on the Flare network. The Oracle takes as inputs estimates from two sets of participants, Spark holders and relevant F asset holders. So what's very different from, let's say, like Chainlink, that some people say is slightly centralized in a way, they make that argument. This Oracle is said to be decentralized because the actual Spark holders are going to be able to be creating data for the Oracle, but also the F asset holders as well. So there's two different proponents, and the way that this data is all comes together, creates the estimates of off-chain time series data for the Flare network. So very interesting take on an Oracle and the way that it would work. Looking over it, I think that it does make sense. I really actually am very bullish on Chainlink, and I love that Chainlink is, for instance, like working with the Matic network. And, I think that Chainlink itself, to me, is decentralized on the spectrum of decentralization. But, as you can see, this is a very, very decentralized Oracle here in comparison to something like Chainlink. Computing the estimates. So this kind of just breaks down the way that the Oracle works, and really it's a little too technical, so I'm going to skip over this. Also, Spark's going to be used for governance. So it says the Spark token is used as a primary governance mechanism over the Flare network, the Spark token and the Flare time series Oracle. So the governance basically bleeds into not only the network, but also the Oracle. And then there's different portions, of the governance model. So there's going to be the network, Spark itself, and its usage of gas and distributions, things like that. And then also the governance will bleed into the Oracle, as you can see here, the FTSO. So the governance model is very intricate, which is very interesting. And that's it. That's basically the points out of the white paper. Hopefully you can see, because I can explain it, that that this is truly a very interesting technology. But let's go ahead and get into the consensus model, which is Avalanche, because Flare Network has a very interesting consensus model, which is Avalanche and is touted as being blockchain 3.0. And there's just some key little points here I'm going to make before closing. So Avalanche is said to be improving digital cash payment processing. So as you can see here, they have this little breakdown here of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Visa, PayPal. These are all the TPS or transactions per second that they offer. Visa offering 1,700, Ripple offering 1,500 transactions per second. But while using the Avalanche protocol, assets would be able to scale up to 6,500 transactions per second, which is extremely significant and very important to me because, this would be kind of comparing to something like the Matic network and its ability. So, if I'm looking for something viable, I'm going to be looking for something that has, a very strong throughput and can handle things, especially because I think this is going to be used for payments still and banking business specifically. You're going to need to be able to handle things like essentially like Visa would. So you're going to need a very strong throughputs or transactions per second, essentially. And again, I will explain why I do not think that the Matic network is at danger because of this. This is truly a network that is not competing, and I'll get into that. But also, what's very interesting about Avalanche, the consensus model, is that it's robust, it's highly scalable, it has quick finality, high throughput, it's lightweight, it's sustainable, green, and quiescent. I can never say that word. Easy to implement and understand, and it's good against 51% attacks. So all very important. And scrolling down, it says Avalanche introduces extreme decentralization, which enables very high immutability and ecosystem by allowing thousands to millions of network participants by being lightweight, easy to implement, understand, and has no specialized hardware requirement. So keywords here, extreme decentralization. So obviously you want to know that it's not centralized, and this is going to help, further decentralize assets like XRP. Then down here it says Avalanche improving blockchain for business. So what I think is very important and the reason why this is not competing with Matic. So here we go. Avalanche consensus, which is what Flare Network uses, is going to be used for private smart contracts. Private. Keyword private. And that is so cool because I've been looking for a scaling mechanism that is going to be private. Now also latency and blockchain finality. So it basically is very quick and executes quickly. There's high TPS, high throughput, all that. Private side chains, again with the private, and possibility for accelerations on side chains. So why this is important is because it really outlines what this protocol and the Flare network is going to be utilized for, in my opinion, guys. So again, this is my breakdown, my take on the data and the information I'm looking at that's available now, so that I can project forward and take a look at my portfolio also and see how all these things kind of balance out. Basically, what it's going to be used for is banking and business. So, for instance, banks, when they're moving transactions from bank to bank, they don't want the other bank to know how much money they have or assets they have over here. Basically, banks want their information to stay private. Also, there is certain businesses that their business model to stay competitive require private smart contracts and private side chains so that the data is not shared. And basically, for instance, there's many businesses that can't use these public type blockchains specifically because it's a it's a data privacy issue. So this type of consensus model, the Flare network, is going to be specifically for businesses that require privacy and essentially banks, because they definitely are going to need privacy. And this all ties into why I don't think that the Matic network is directly competing here, because what I see the Matic network is, one of the two major things that the Matic network is needed for is gaming and NFTs. And people might not really understand how big that is going to be, but if you can project into the future, if you see where gaming is going, where the metaverse is going, where AR is going, you really see that gaming is going to move into a more immersive level, and people are going to be using their VR with gaming in the future. You're going to kind of have like this Ready Player One type level of gaming available in the very near future. And the Matic network is perfectly poised for this type of features in gaming, all directly from utilizing Ethereum, and then Matic network. Also with NFTs and these kind of things, that don't require privacy and all that, but do require scalability and low cost transactions. Matic network is going to be used. And because there's trade-offs between different types of consensuses and protocols and networks, those types of things are going to be very important to go on to a layer 2 like the Matic network. But the trade-offs here are going to make banking and private businesses that require privacy going to use like a network like the Flare network, and both are going to be linked on to all these bridges like Cosmos, Polkadot, and feed into the whole internet of blockchain. So this is definitely not competing, and but is still something that is at the same level, but just in a different category. I don't want to go too much further. I could go even more in depth here, but really this kind of breaks down the idea of what the Flare network is going to be used for and why it's so significant, and why personally, me, not financial advice, why I'll be taking my XRP and getting a large portion of these Spark tokens, because I want to be a part of this movement, and I think it's really interesting, guys. So hopefully this was a good breakdown. If you have any questions, I am an Ethereum guy. I can explain this to probably a lot greater level than a lot of XRP YouTubers can. So let me know what you think. Never give up on the future of money. Take it easy, guys.